Welcome back to Science in Sleeping. I'm so glad you're here again tonight. We'll drift through time, back through billions of years, to explore how evolution, in its slow, patient rhythm, sculpted the human body you rest within right now. A story written in the language of atoms, genes, and dreams. But before we begin, take a slow breath in and a slower breath out. Let the day fade away. Whatever you've done today, you've done enough. You've arrived here to rest, to learn, and to simply be. This series is about more than knowledge. It's about easing your mind with wonder. Because science, when told gently, can feel like poetry. And evolution, the story of how you became you, might just be one of the most soothing bedtime tales of all. Tonight, we're exploring how evolution created the human body. How nature, over billions of quiet years, shaped bones and breath, nerves and sleep, thought and emotion. We'll wander through oceans and ancient forests. We'll feel the pulse of early life, and slowly trace the path that led to you lying here, safe and still. This is Sleep Science Explained, a calm, curious journey into the biology of being as we start. I'd love to know where you're listening from. Maybe you're in bed with a dim lamp flickering beside you. Maybe you're traveling and this voice feels like home. Maybe it's 11 p.m. or 2 a.m. The world around you has quieted down, and now it's just you, your breath, and the gentle rhythm of curiosity. You don't need to remember any of this. This story isn't a lecture. It's an experience, a soft unfolding of thought. You can drift in and out of it. Your subconscious will still listen, still absorb the comfort of understanding. The logic of life can be a lullaby, too. So, find your most comfortable position. Rest your head, loosen your jaw, let your shoulders sink a little deeper. Let gravity do its quiet work. Let the muscles in your face soften. And if your mind is still busy, that's okay. We're not fighting thoughts here. We're just letting them settle. Like dust in sunlight, floating, slowly falling, until everything feels calm. Imagine your thoughts as waves, each one rising, falling, and fading into stillness. And beneath those waves, your body, the result of millions of years of evolution, each cell, each heartbeat, each breath, a whisper from your ancestors, from creatures who lived, loved, struggled, and rested, too. Their story continues in you. In every quiet moment you take to rest as you breathe. Know that the air entering your lungs carries memories older than stars. The same elements that formed your bones once danced in the cores of ancient suns. The same water that soothes you tonight once flowed through prehistoric oceans. Everything about you is connected through time, through space, through evolution itself. So tonight, as we explore the science of sleeping and the ways evolution shaped your resting body, let yourself drift gently between awareness and dreams, between knowledge and peace. Because the human body, your body, is nature's masterpiece, built slowly, lovingly, through countless generations. Each small adaptation a gift, each breath a reminder that you are part of something vast, something endlessly intelligent, something beautifully alive. Now settle in, get comfortable, let your breathing steady, and together, let's begin the quiet, fascinating journey through time. The story of how evolution created the human body, and how, even now, while you rest, that story continues quietly within you. Have you ever wondered when sleep began, not just for humans, but for life itself, long before pillows, dreams, or even brains? There was still rest. Somewhere in the silent oceans of an ancient earth, tiny, drifting organisms were already following rhythms, rising with the light and sinking into stillness with the dark. It's almost impossible to imagine that billions of years before your body learned to close its eyes, life was already learning how to pause, how to recover, how to dream in its own way. Picture yourself floating far beneath the waves of an ancient sea. The water is warm, dense, and glowing faintly blue from the light above. There are no fish, no plants, no sound, only drifting colonies of single-celled beings, moving slowly in the gentle currents, each of them alive with chemical whispers, each of them feeling, in some primitive sense, the difference between day and night, between activity and stillness, between energy and quiet. And in that rhythm, in that silent ocean heartbeat, the story of sleep was born. Scientists believe that the very first form of rest emerged not as sleep as we know it, but as a rhythm, a cycle of energy and restoration. Even bacteria, though simplest of creatures, follow patterns of rest and activity. They know when to conserve energy, when to pause growth, when to hide from light and wait for conditions to improve. This instinct to stop, to reset, may be the most ancient inheritance you carry, an echo of microbial memory still living within your cells. As life grew more complex, rest evolved. Early multicellular organisms, tiny worms and soft-bodied creatures drifting in the primordial seas, began showing what we'd later call sleep-like states, moments when they slowed down, when their internal processes shifted from motion to repair, when the very chemistry of their being whispered, "It's time to heal." Sleep, in its essence, is that the quiet work of survival, the body's most ancient ritual, and it began long before humans ever dreamt of stars. Did you know that even creatures without brains can rest? Jellyfish, for example, enter a nightly stillness. Their pulsations slow, their responses fade, and though they have no central nervous system, something deep within them recognizes the need for pause. It's as if the universe itself breathed this rhythm into every living form, a reminder that life is not constant movement, but a dance between energy and surrender. Now imagine evolution as an artist, slowly sculpting bodies that could carry this rhythm more deeply. Nervous systems began to appear, tiny clusters of cells that could sense the world. And as soon as life began to sense, it also began to tire. The act of awareness itself demanded renewal. And so sleep, in its earliest biological poetry, became nature's way of rebalancing awareness, of washing the mind clean. Long before minds even had names, in your own body, every cell still carries this rhythm. Your mitochondria, the ancient power plants of your cells, are descendants of those early ocean bacteria, and they still follow patterns of rest and work. Even while you sleep tonight, they hum in quiet efficiency, repairing, restoring, realigning. It's a conversation that's been happening for billions of years, between energy and stillness, between chaos and calm. And tonight, you're part of that same conversation. Think about this for a moment. When you close your eyes, you are not escaping the world. You are rejoining it. You're syncing your body's rhythm with the pulse of life itself. Every creature, from coral to wolf, from moth to whale, knows this rhythm. Each follows its own version of sleep, its own pattern of restoration. Sleep is not just rest, it's belonging, a universal whisper shared by all who live. And while we humans often treat sleep as a luxury, evolution tells a different story. It tells us that sleep is sacred, that without it, even the simplest forms of life begin to falter. In experiments, when tiny creatures are deprived of rest, they lose coordination, they forget patterns, they even struggle to survive. Rest is as essential as breath, because in stillness, life reorganizes itself. It finds balance. It remembers what it means to be alive. Now, take a slow breath, and as you exhale, imagine those early oceans again, the first breaths of biology, the first pauses of life billions of years ago. Something inside those cells said, "We rest," and that same message travels through you tonight, through every muscle, every neuron, every heartbeat. You are the continuation of that ancient rhythm, a living echo of Earth's first dreamers. Isn't it beautiful that what you call sleep is the universe's oldest language of peace, that when you surrender to rest, you're simply speaking the same word that life has whispered for ages. Sleep is not an interruption of life. It is life, in its softest, most intelligent form. And so, as you breathe, feel yourself connecting to that lineage, a thread unbroken since time began. And now, as the ocean of your thoughts quiets again, we'll drift forward gently to another time, another chapter in this vast biological story. From the sleeping seas to the dawn of creatures with eyes, from the quiet pulse of cells to the first dreams born within brains. Let's continue this journey softly through the evolution of sleep and the story of how your body learned to rest. Have you ever wondered when the first dream was dreamed, not by a human, not even by a mammal, but by something much older, some ancient creature, half asleep beneath a prehistoric sea, its tiny nervous system flickering with mysterious patterns of light, as if it were remembering something, or perhaps imagining the first flicker of what we might one day call a dream. Picture yourself descending through time, through layers of forgotten oceans and continents, past the coral forests and volcanic skies of a world unrecognizable. You are moving into a time before mammals, before reptiles, before fish, a time when life had just begun to experiment with thought. Tiny clusters of nerve cells, neurons, began to spark, sending electrical whispers through primitive bodies. And evolution, in its endless patience, was crafting something miraculous, a body that could feel, a mind that could respond, and eventually, a brain that could imagine. Scientists believe that even the simplest animals with nervous systems experience something like sleep. Creatures like hydra and jellyfish, who have no true brain, still show daily patterns of activity and rest. They pulse, they drift, they pause, their behavior slows as night falls, and within their cells, the same ancient clock ticks, marking the rhythm of existence itself. It's not yet sleep as we know it, but it's the first whisper of consciousness learning to rest. Now imagine evolution's canvas shifting forward to the age of fish beneath dark, quiet seas. Creatures with tiny eyes and primitive brains began to experience something remarkable. Their neurons didn't just shut down at night, they began to rearrange, while these ancient fish slept. Their brain activity changed, memories consolidated, sensory patterns replayed. It was the faint, flickering outline of what would one day become REM sleep, the rapid eye movement phase, where dreams unfold. And though those ancient fish never knew what a dream was, their brains were practicing. They were replaying experiences of the day, shadows of predators, flashes of food, waves of light filtered through coral. These early neurological rehearsals were nature's way of learning from the past. Dreams, it seems, may have been born not from imagination, but from survival. To dream was to remember, and to remember was to live. Fast forward through time to the age of reptiles and birds, creatures that could not only see the world, but move through it with precision and purpose. They too began to sleep deeply, and in their sleep, their eyes twitched beneath closed lids, their muscles stilled. Their brains hummed in patterns now familiar to us. REM sleep had arrived in full, and with it, the birth of something extraordinary, the dream as we know it. Did you know that some birds sleep while flying? Half their brain resting, the other half awake, keeping watch as they glide through moonlit skies. It's a reminder that evolution is endlessly creative, finding balance between vigilance and rest, between safety and surrender. These avian dreamers carry within them the same paradox that defines all of life, the need to rest, even while surviving. Now, let's wander into the world of mammals. Your distant ancestors, small, fur-covered creatures darting through shadows. They were the first to develop complex sleep cycles, with both deep, restorative, slow-wave sleep, and vivid, dream-filled REM sleep, when their tiny bodies curled into nests. Their brains lit up in rhythmic waves, their hearts slowed, their breathing deepened. And somewhere inside that stillness, their minds danced. They dreamt of the forest, of danger and comfort, of light and shadow. Dreams became a kind of secret theater of evolution, a nightly rehearsal for living. And then, much later, came the humans. Creatures capable not only of dreaming, but of wondering about dreams, of seeing symbols and stories in the darkness of their own minds, of turning sleep into art, religion, science, and mystery. But even now, as you listen, beneath the layers of your conscious thought, your brain still follows the same ancient rhythms. Your neurons still replay the patterns of your day. Your body still obeys the same biological script written long before your species began. In the quiet space between waking and sleeping, you carry the entire history of sleep within you. Each night, when you drift off, you are reenacting billions of years of evolution, from the stillness of the jellyfish to the dreams of the mammal. To the imagination of the human mind, sleep is not a simple act, it's a cosmic performance, the oldest story ever told, and you are both its audience and its author. Think about this: when you dream, your brain is both the painter and the canvas. It creates entire worlds from memory and emotion, and then wanders through them as if they were real. It's the only state where you are both creator and explorer, and perhaps that's why evolution kept dreaming alive. Because it teaches adaptability, because it reminds the brain to imagine possibilities, because imagination itself became a survival tool. And yet, for all its beauty, the science of dreaming is still wrapped in mystery. Researchers can track brainwaves, measure REM cycles, even see glimpses of imagery through neural mapping, but no one truly knows why we dream. Is it memory, rehearsal, emotional processing, or the mind simply talking to itself? Maybe dreams are evolution's way of keeping the brain playful, creative, flexible, awake, even while asleep. Now take a deep breath, and as you exhale, feel the wonder of that inside your quiet, resting brain. Something ancient and intelligent is still at work. Rewiring, replaying, renewing. Your dreams are not random. They are part of the body's grand design, a biological song written in electric whispers. The same melody that guided life from the first neurons to the human mind. The next time you dream, remember that you are carrying the imagination of the entire earth within you. The stories your brain tells at night are the echoes of every creature that ever rested, every fish that floated still, every bird that closed one eye beneath the moon, every ancestor that dreamt of safety and firelight. You are part of that same lineage, a dreamer in a long chain of dreamers, each one evolving the ability to rest, to imagine, to survive. Sleep, then, is not a shutting down, but a deep remembering. It is the brain returning to its source, the place where consciousness was first born. And dreams, they are the footprints left behind by evolution's imagination. Proof that even in stillness, life never stops creating. It paints, it replays, it rebuilds, and as you drift toward sleep tonight, you are continuing that story, the oldest story in existence. The story of how life learned to dream. So now, let your own mind slow its rhythm. Let your thoughts dissolve into gentle colors. The neurons of your brain, billions of tiny sparks, are preparing to rest and to dream, to replay your day, to restore what's been spent, to whisper quietly that ancient phrase written into your biology. Now we rest, and as you breathe, know that the same pulse that flows through you once rippled through the first dreaming fish, through the sleeping bird, through the ancient mammal hiding beneath the stars, all of them alive in you, all of them resting with you. And as we drift forward, we'll follow this story into its next transformation, from the dreaming brain to the modern human body, to the evolution of rest itself, and the secrets it still holds. But for now, breathe, and let the ancient dreamers guide you as we move softly into the next chapter of this endless sleeping story. Have you ever wondered what your mind is doing while you sleep, when your body lies still and quiet, but behind your closed eyes, something vast and invisible begins to awaken? It's a mystery most people never feel, a symphony that plays every night inside your skull while you drift into dreams. Your brain begins one of the most intricate repair processes known to nature. It's as if your consciousness steps aside, and a team of ancient architects begins to rebuild you from within. Picture yourself standing in the middle of a great city at night. The streets are empty, the noise of the day has faded, and all around you, silent workers begin to emerge. They sweep, repair, reconnect, rebuilding what was broken during the chaos of daylight. That city is your brain, and sleep is when it heals itself. Every thought you had today, every worry, every memory, every burst of emotion left tiny marks on your neurons, microscopic shifts in shape, charge, and connection, billions of synapses. Those fragile bridges between brain cells have been firing endlessly, and as you sleep, your brain quietly examines each one. Some it strengthens, others it erases. This is synaptic pruning, the gentle gardening of your mind, a process so delicate that without it, your thoughts would collapse into noise. Your dreams, your focus, your learning would all fade. Scientists call this the housekeeping stage of sleep. But it's far more poetic than that, because while your body rests, your mind becomes a library in motion. Every memory you made today is sorted, tagged, and carefully filed away. Some are tucked deep into long-term storage, others are gently deleted. As if your brain is whispering, you don't need this anymore. Did you know that while you dream, your brain waves slow to deep rhythmic pulses? And between those pulses, tiny waves of fluid wash through your brain's tissue. This is the glymphatic system, the body's cleansing river. It flushes away toxins, old proteins, and the biological dust left behind by thinking itself. In waking life, the mind is a fire, but in sleep, it becomes a tide each night. Your brain literally bathes itself clean, rinsing away the fatigue of consciousness. Now imagine this process not as biology, but as a ritual. A nightly ceremony of renewal. Every night, you return to the source of your being, to be dismantled, rewritten, rebuilt. Your identity itself, your sense of you, is quietly reassembled by neural hands, all while you drift deeper into stillness. During deep sleep, your brain becomes an orchestra of slow, rolling waves. Electrical patterns ripple from front to back, from cortex to limbic system, and every neuron begins to rest in harmony. It's the only time in your life when almost everything inside you agrees to be silent. Your heart slows, your breathing deepens, and yet the quiet is filled with purpose. This is when memories become stable, when emotions are softened, and when the storms of thought settle into glassy calm. And then comes REM sleep, that mysterious second act, when your mind bursts again with color and movement. Your muscles are paralyzed, but your brain flickers with energy, as vivid as if you were awake. It's here that imagination blooms, where logic dissolves, where the boundaries of reality bend just enough for you to explore what could be. Dreams are the brain's rehearsal space, a safe theater for emotion, a test ground for creativity. When you dream, you're not escaping the world, you're rewriting it, testing, rehearsing, preparing for dawn. And as scientists now know, sleep deprivation slowly unravels these processes. The mind becomes foggy, emotions lose their anchor, and the brain's ability to regulate itself weakens. Even the immune system listens to the rhythm of your sleep. Every organ in your body is tuned to this same cycle. When one falters, the others follow. That's why sleep isn't optional. It's the thread that holds all other systems together. It is nature's repair code, buried deep in your design. Think of it this way: when you finally close your eyes, the universe within you wakes. Billions of neurons lighting up like stars across a sleeping sky. Each one connecting, disconnecting, finding its pattern again. Your mind becomes a cosmos of renewal, a quiet galaxy spinning in rhythm with the night. And perhaps that's the most extraordinary truth of all, that consciousness, this miracle of awareness, depends entirely on surrender. Your brilliance is born not only from thinking, but from resting, from trusting the dark, from letting go. So tonight, as you breathe, Feel that invisible work continuing within you. Tiny waves of cerebrospinal fluid sweeping gently through your brain, washing away the weight of the day. Each exhale, a quiet release. Each inhale, a soft reset. Your mind is clearing its pathways, preparing to dream again, to rebuild, to wake renewed, and perhaps, somewhere in that unseen repair, your subconscious begins to hum, pulling together the fragments of thought, the half-forgotten feelings, the sparks of creativity waiting for morning, even as you rest. Your brain continues to create. Every artist, every scientist, every poet is guided by the hidden work of sleep, where imagination is rebuilt each night from the dust of yesterday. There's a quiet suspense in this truth that who you'll be tomorrow depends on what your brain chooses to remember tonight, what it keeps, what it releases, what it weaves into dreams. Your sleeping mind is your truest self, unfiltered, unmasked, restoring its own balance, its own beauty, its own mystery. And so, as you drift, let yourself feel grateful for this unseen intelligence, for the mind that works while you rest, for the billions of ancestors whose biology built this perfect rhythm, for the gift of letting go. The city of your brain is glowing softly now, its lights dimming one by one, workers retreating into silence. And the night, the vast dark of your mind, is filling once again with dreams. Tomorrow, when you wake, you will not remember the repairs, but you'll feel them in the clarity of your thoughts, in the calm of your emotions, in the quiet readiness of your spirit. And that is the miracle, the invisible architecture of sleep, the nightly resurrection of the human mind. So breathe. Let your thoughts fade into the rhythm of your heartbeat. The architects of your consciousness are at work, each cell whispering, each neuron glowing faintly, each memory finding its place. The night is long but kind, and filled with quiet purpose. And as you rest within this ancient rhythm, we'll drift next into the body itself, where evolution's hands continue their nightly work, repairing, restoring, and carrying you gently. Have you ever wondered what your body is really doing while you sleep? When the lights go out and the world disappears into quiet darkness, your breathing slows, your muscles soften. Your awareness fades, but deep inside you, far below consciousness, a hidden orchestra begins to play. Your blood, your cells, your very DNA start performing the most ancient song life has ever known. We think of sleep as stillness, as the world pausing for a while. But inside your body, sleep is motion, microscopic movement, constant renewal. Your heart beats with a slower rhythm. Your temperature drops like a gentle tide pulling away from the shore. And that's the signal, the secret password your body gives itself to begin the work of restoration. Picture yourself lying in a vast forest beneath a starlit sky. Everything seems silent, but under the surface, life is alive. Roots drinking from unseen rivers, leaves folding inward. The earth itself breathing in quiet rhythm. That's what your body becomes when you sleep, a night forest, working in darkness, unseen but deeply alive every night. Your body begins its silent repair. Your muscles stretched and strained through the day start rebuilding fiber by fiber. Torn tissue fuses back together. Tiny repairs guided by growth hormones that flood your bloodstream as you drift into deep sleep. These hormones are like invisible artisans, working in the dark, repainting the walls of your strength. And that's why even one sleepless night can leave you fragile, unrepaired, half restored, inside your skin. Your immune system awakens in the darkness, as if night is its sacred time. Specialized cells patrol your bloodstream like guardians under moonlight. They search for damage, infection, and begin healing before dawn. In the day, your body defends, but in the night, it restores. Evolution has written this rhythm into you, a biological trust that healing happens when the mind steps aside. Did you know that while you sleep, your bones rebuild too? Inside their hollow centers, millions of stem cells awaken, turning chaos into order. Replacing old blood cells with new ones, they work in secret, rebalancing the chemistry that will keep you alive tomorrow. And as they work, your body's temperature continues to fall, conserving energy, redirecting every spark toward healing. Nature wastes nothing in sleep. It is perfection at rest. Even your skin, the boundary between your inner and outer worlds, comes alive at night. Collagen networks tighten, damaged cells are replaced, and ultraviolet scars from the day are quietly erased. That's why morning light often brings a faint glow. Your body has literally remade your surface while you dreamed. Each sunrise reveals a slightly newer version of you. And then there's the heartbeat, your eternal rhythm. It slows not just to rest, but to synchronize with the night. Your blood vessels relax, your pressure lowers, and this gentle drop allows your heart to heal from the strain of wakefulness. It's as though every night your cardiovascular system steps into a temple to be cleansed, renewed, rebalanced. But perhaps the most fascinating work of all happens in the mitochondria, the tiny power plants inside each of your cells. During the day, they burn fiercely, producing energy, creating waste, enduring constant demand. But at night, when the lights of the mind dim, these mitochondria switch modes. They become repair stations, restoring their membranes, rebuilding the engines that fuel you for another day. Without this nightly reset, you'd burn out in days. Every dream, every slow breath is keeping you alive through microscopic resurrection. Imagine this: your body has remembered how to heal for billions of years, from the first cell that learned to divide, to the complex being you are now. Every night, you reenact that original miracle. Your cells return to that primordial dance, renewing themselves in the rhythm of the dark. Evolution designed you not for constant wakefulness, but for the sacred cycle of light and night, work and rest, creation and renewal. Even your organs, the silent workers of the body, obey this cycle. Your liver, during sleep, becomes a chemist, processing toxins, balancing blood sugar. Your kidneys filter with precision, flushing out what no longer serves you. Your digestive system quiets its muscles. Yet, its microbiome, trillions of tiny beings, awakens, communicating in biochemical whispers. Did you know your gut bacteria also follow circadian rhythm? They rest when you rest and feast when you wake. Every living thing inside you, from the tiniest microbe to the grandest neuron, is part of this choreography. Sleep is not absence, it is harmony. And while all this repair unfolds, your body's internal clocks tick softly in unison. Tiny clusters of cells in your brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus send signals to every tissue, like a conductor guiding an unseen orchestra. telling your liver when to metabolize, your lungs when to slow, your muscles when to release. You are a symphony of timing, each part obeying the rhythm of night. But here's the hidden suspense. Your body doesn't just heal in sleep. It learns every muscle movement practiced in the day. Every balance, every skill is quietly refined at night. Athletes, dancers, even children learning to walk, their progress isn't made during training, but during slumber. Your brain replays the motion, your muscles store the memory, and by morning, you've become slightly better without knowing why. Perhaps this is why ancient cultures called sleep the small death, because in those hours you surrender control completely. You vanish from the world, and yet life within you grows stronger. It's one of nature's most exquisite paradoxes. To live fully, you must first disappear. So tonight, when you lie down and close your eyes, remember what's about to happen. Every breath is a signal, every heartbeat a lullaby. Your body begins its sacred sequence. Hormones flow like starlight through your veins. Cells awaken in silence, and evolution itself begins to hum again. You are not falling asleep, you are returning to your design. Picture the moment in slow motion, your consciousness fading like twilight over an ancient ocean, your pulse syncing with the cosmic rhythm of the earth turning beneath you. In this dark, your body finds its true power, not in effort, but in surrender. Each night, you perform the miracle of existence all over again. And when you wake, your body will have already finished its masterpiece. Muscles stronger, wounds smaller, blood purified, cells reborn. You'll rise not as the person who fell asleep, but as the one your body quietly rebuilt. That is the secret beauty of sleep. It hides transformation behind stillness. So rest, let the ancient wisdom of your biology take over. Feel the heartbeat that has carried you since before memory. Feel the lungs that rise and fall like tides. Feel the warmth of your body sinking into the deep rhythm of the night. You are part of an endless cycle, a design written by evolution itself. Every breath you take in sleep is proof of nature's love for balance. And every morning you awaken is the dawn of your own quiet resurrection. The night is not empty. It is full of motion, of work, of healing. And as the stars shimmer above, your cells shimmer below, two reflections of the same mystery, the body and the cosmos, whispering in the same silent tongue. And as you drift deeper into rest, your body hums with the energy of renewal. The work continues quietly, faithfully, beyond thought and beyond time. Tomorrow, we'll explore the next great secret, how dreams connect the mind, body, and universe, and why the landscapes within your imagination might be more real than you've ever known. Have you ever wondered where you go when you dream? When your body lies still beneath the covers, but your mind begins to wander through impossible places, floating through skies that never existed, meeting people who never lived, yet somehow everything feels real, so real that when you wake, you can still feel the echo of it, like starlight after a vanished sun. Dreams are one of evolution's most mysterious gifts. Every creature that sleeps, from humans to tiny mammals, even birds, enters a hidden realm, a world where logic dissolves and time bends like water. But why? Why would the brain, after millions of years of adaptation, choose to build illusions every night only to forget them by dawn? The answer is both ancient and astonishing. Dreaming isn't a mistake. It's one of the oldest and most powerful survival tools nature ever created. Imagine, for a moment, that your consciousness is a vast theater. Each day, you live out the script, full of motion, stress, choices, survival. But at night, when the curtain of sleep falls, your mind becomes the playwright. It replays the scenes of your day, but twists them, softens them, testing, rearranging, learning. It's the rehearsal hall of your soul. Now, picture yourself standing on the edge of your dream. The air is velvet, glowing softly like moonlight on still water. You step forward, and gravity seems to forget you. You drift, weightless, through shifting landscapes that shimmer and fade. A desert turns into an ocean. A childhood home becomes a galaxy. Every time you close your eyes, your brain creates a universe, and inside that universe, you explore what it means to be alive. Science calls this REM sleep, rapid eye movement. The deepest stage of dreaming. During REM, your body is paralyzed, completely still, to protect you from acting out the world inside your mind. Yet, your brain, paradoxically, is more active than when you're awake. Neurons fire in brilliant constellations, creating images, stories, emotions, like lightning storms flickering behind your eyelids. Deep inside your brain, a region called the pons begins the cascade. It releases bursts of electrical energy, activating the visual centers, the emotional circuits, the memory regions, but not the logic center. That's why dreams often feel nonsensical. Your imagination is wide awake, but your reasoning is fast asleep. Did you know your amygdala, the part of your brain that processes fear, is especially active during dreams? That's why nightmares feel so real. They're emotional rehearsals, safe simulations of danger. Evolution designed dreams as a way to train the mind, to let you face fear in safety, so that when real danger comes, your mind already knows the rhythm of survival. Even animals do this. A sleeping cat's whiskers twitch. Its paws move, as if chasing something unseen. It's not random, it's practice. A memory made flesh. Each twitch, a story of survival, encoded in the dark. Dreams also sculpt your memory during the night. The hippocampus, your brain's librarian, sorts through everything you experienced, deciding what to keep, what to discard, and what to weave into story. Dreams are the act of emotional filing, the way your mind cleans the clutter of the day. Every strange symbol, every flying moment or falling feeling is a reflection of this process. You are the story and the storyteller, both at once. But what's truly breathtaking is that dreams connect not just memories, they bridge imagination, problem solving, and creativity. Did you know some of the world's most brilliant discoveries came from dreams? Einstein once dreamed of sledding down a mountainside at the speed of light. That dream became the seed of relativity. Mary Shelley dreamed of a scientist breathing life into a creature of his own making and woke to write Frankenstein. Even the melody of Yesterday by the Beatles came to Paul McCartney in a dream. Dreams are the laboratory of invention, the subconscious mind's playground, a reminder that imagination is older than logic and far wiser. Now, imagine the suspense of this. Each night, your brain temporarily loses awareness of the real world, yet builds an entire new one from fragments. faces you half remember, voices that never spoke, and sensations that never existed. You touch the unreal and believe it. You walk through invisible landscapes and feel them as truth. That's the genius of evolution, to blur the line between memory and creation so you can heal through illusion. And here's the most poetic secret. Dreams are how your subconscious speaks to you. When your waking self is too busy to listen, when you've silenced emotion to survive the day, your dreaming mind whispers it back in symbols. It tells you what you miss, what you long for, what you still haven't let go. A locked door might mean something unsaid. A flood might mean emotion. A flight might mean freedom waiting to be claimed. Dreams are letters from your deeper self, written in the language of metaphor. Some scientists believe dreaming even helped shape human empathy by simulating experiences of fear, love, and loss in sleep. Our ancestors learned to understand one another in waking life. In the safety of darkness, our minds practiced the art of emotion, until we became creatures capable of kindness, of connection, of shared humanity. Perhaps empathy itself was born in a dream. And then there's lucid dreaming, that rare, shimmering state where awareness returns inside the dream. You realize you're dreaming, and for a brief moment, you can guide the story. Fly through the clouds, walk across oceans, speak with your own subconscious. The brain shows remarkable activity during these lucid states, a delicate balance between waking and sleeping awareness. It's as if consciousness itself is learning to look into its own reflection. You, the dreamer, meeting yourself inside your own creation. But there's still something deeper, a mystery even science hasn't solved. Why do dreams feel so sacred, so meaningful, when they're built from illusion? Some neuroscientists suggest that dreaming is consciousness exploring itself, the mind testing its boundaries beyond the limits of physical reality. In dreams, the laws of space and time dissolve, because they belong to the waking world. But your inner world, the dream world, is infinite, unbound by physics. It's a reminder that reality is not fixed, but fluid, and that perhaps the universe itself dreams through you. So tonight, as you close your eyes and drift toward sleep, remember that you are not just resting. You are about to enter the hidden universe within, a realm where evolution and imagination merge, where the mind heals, rehearses, remembers, and creates. You are the explorer and the landscape, the observer and the observed. You are both scientist and starlight, studying the cosmos behind your eyelids. Picture your dream forming now, a faint spark flickering in the dark. The neurons in your brain begin to hum softly, sending signals like distant lightning. Your consciousness slips from the shore of waking life into an ocean made of thought and emotion. Each image that rises is a wave, each feeling a current. You float effortlessly through stories only your soul remembers. And maybe, somewhere in that dream tonight, you'll meet a version of yourself you've never seen, a calmer, wiser self, standing in the moonlight of your imagination, offering you the peace you've been seeking in the day. Dreams are bridges between the seen and the unseen, between your past and your possibility. They remind you that there's always more to who you are than what the daylight shows. So rest now, let the mind untether from the noise. Let it wander freely through the stars within you. The story you're about to dream will be one only you could create. And when you wake, you'll carry its quiet wisdom somewhere deep inside. Even if you never remember the words, for dreams never vanish, they simply fold back into your being, waiting for night to bring them home again as you drift deeper. The boundary between your thoughts and the universe fades. Your breath slows, your heartbeat whispers in rhythm with the stars, and evolution continues its gentle work, shaping not just the body, but the mind, the soul, the dreamer. Tomorrow we'll step into the next great mystery, the science of consciousness itself, and how the very awareness, listening to this voice, may be the most extraordinary creation of all. Have you ever stopped to wonder what consciousness really is? That quiet, invisible thread that holds your world together. The part of you that hears this voice right now, that feels the softness of your breath and calls it you. Where does it begin? And where does it end? Is it trapped behind your eyes? Or does it stretch far beyond the boundaries of your skin? Some say it lives in the brain. Some whisper that it lives in everything. That consciousness is not in you, but that you are inside it, floating in a vast, unseen ocean of awareness. It's strange, isn't it, that you can feel the whole universe within a single moment of awareness. And yet science still cannot fully explain what that awareness is. You can measure brain waves, map neurons, record the flicker of electrical storms inside the skull. But the feeling, the experience remains untouched by instruments. This mystery has haunted thinkers for centuries, and even now, as you rest in the dark, your mind is performing the most mysterious act in the known cosmos. It is aware of itself. Close your eyes and imagine your consciousness as a glowing light, not inside your head, but surrounding you. It hums softly, like the sound of distant starlight. Each thought, each sensation, ripples through it like a wave through calm water. Your awareness is not static. It moves. It expands and contracts with attention, like the universe itself. It breathes. Scientists have spent decades chasing this light. Some believe it's simply the product of neurons, tiny sparks firing in vast networks, creating the illusion of self. They call this the neural correlates of consciousness, where perception meets biology. But others, quantum physicists, mystics, and dreamers believe that consciousness might be the foundation of everything, not a product of the brain, but the source from which all matter arises. Imagine the suspense of that thought, that every atom, every particle, might be aware in some tiny, trembling way. That consciousness isn't a light that turns on in complex creatures, but a cosmic field, a hum that runs through the fabric of existence itself. And you, a human being, are simply a place where that hum becomes a song. In your waking life, consciousness feels sharp and linear. You perceive time as moving forward. You see cause and effect. You believe you are separate from what you observe. But in dreams and in deep meditation, that illusion fades. You become the sky. You become the story. You become awareness itself. Evolution, over countless ages, gave you this ability to not only exist, but to know that you exist. A power so profound that it may be the universe trying to understand itself through you. Think of it this way. Your brain is like an ocean of billions of tiny waves. Each neuron, a ripple of electricity. Each moment you think, feel, or notice, those waves align in intricate patterns. forming the storm of awareness. But who watches those waves? Who is it that knows they are happening? That watcher, the observer within you, is consciousness itself. And it's been there since before language, before identity, before memory. It's the same awareness that flickered in the eyes of the first humans, the same awareness that watched fire dance in the night, that looked at the stars and wondered, what am I? And it's the same awareness that now listens to this voice, floating between thought and sleep, timeless and unchanging. There's a beautiful paradox here. Science can measure brain states, but not the feeling of being you, the hum of neurons, the pattern of activity. These are measurable. But the inner world, the warmth of love, the ache of longing, the peace of surrender, these exist only inside awareness. Consciousness is the theater where reality performs. And you, the observer, are both audience and actor. Did you know that when you fall asleep, your brain doesn't shut consciousness off, it just shifts its rhythm? In slow-wave sleep, awareness dims. But in REM, it sparks again in a new form, the dreamer's consciousness. That's why dreams feel real, because they are real to the mind that experiences them. The world inside and the world outside are made of the same awareness, just viewed from different angles. Some researchers now believe that consciousness operates like a frequency, a vibration. The brain doesn't create awareness, it tunes into it, like a radio picking up an invisible signal when you're awake. Your mind tunes into one channel, the world of logic and form. When you sleep, it tunes into another, the world of imagination and fluidity. Both are real, both are expressions of the same universal field. This is why ancient traditions spoke of the waking world as a dream, and the dream world as a deeper kind of waking. So what is the purpose of consciousness? Why did evolution give rise to something so ineffable, so wondrous? The answer may be hidden in the way you perceive yourself. Every sensation, every emotion helps the brain predict and adapt. Consciousness evolved as nature's most advanced navigation system, a mirror that helps life know itself. Without it, you would simply react. With it, you can reflect. And through reflection, you can grow. But here's where the suspense deepens. Your consciousness isn't a single, unbroken thing. It's layered. It moves in waves when you daydream. You sink into one layer when you meditate. You drop even deeper. When you sleep, you drift through the deepest currents of all. Each layer carries wisdom. Each one is a doorway. And every night, you walk through them without realizing it. The mystics of ancient India called these layers the koshas, the sheaths of being. They believed that the waking mind, the dreaming mind, and the deep sleep mind were just different masks worn by the same awareness. That beneath all the layers, beneath thought, beneath emotion, beneath even perception, there exists pure consciousness, silent, vast, eternal, the part of you that has never been touched by time. Close your eyes and imagine that for a moment. That beneath every thought you've ever had, beneath every story you tell yourself, there is a quiet field of stillness. You can feel it now. In the gap between one breath and the next, in the silence between each heartbeat. That's consciousness in its purest form, not something to think about, but something to be. Evolution didn't just build a body or a brain, it built a bridge, a way for the universe to look back at itself. Through you, through awareness, the cosmos has become self-aware. And when you sleep, that awareness retreats inward, folding back into its source, like the tide returning to the ocean. Maybe that's what consciousness really is, a waking dream, a story the universe tells itself, one heartbeat at a time. And maybe, when you close your eyes at night, you aren't losing awareness at all. You're simply returning to the deeper dream, the one beneath all others, where you and the stars are made of the same light. So as you rest now, let that awareness soften. You don't have to hold on. You don't have to think. Just listen to the hum of your existence, the quiet electricity of being alive. Feel your thoughts dissolving, like ripples fading across still water. You are consciousness itself, vast, timeless, awake, even in stillness. And when morning comes, when your eyes open again, remember that you've never really left that field of awareness. You've only shifted your attention from the dream of night to the dream of day. For everything you touch, everything you see, and everything you are is the same mystery, the universe, dreaming itself awake through you. Tomorrow, we'll drift deeper into the question of memory, how consciousness stores time, how it shapes who we are, and how the mind keeps every moment you've ever lived. Like stars frozen in the night sky, close your eyes and imagine the night quietly settling around your thoughts. The world fades to silence, but inside your brain, 1,000 memories begin to stir. They shimmer like distant lanterns floating on a dark sea. Each one a moment you've lived, a feeling you've felt, a heartbeat that once belonged to a specific fragment of time. But here's where the mystery deepens. Why do we dream the way we do? Why do some dreams feel epic and coherent, while others dissolve into nonsense? Why do some feel guided by meaning, while others seem like flickers of static in the dark? The answer lies in how your brain constructs narrative. Even in sleep, it cannot tolerate randomness, so it builds story. Your mind arranges scattered memories, unresolved feelings, and fragments of perception into sequences that feel like purpose, even when they're pure chance. It's your inner narrator, still awake somewhere, trying to make sense of chaos. This is why dreams can feel prophetic, as if the universe is whispering secrets through images and riddles. But in truth, it's your subconscious, your own vast ocean of hidden thought, speaking back to you. Dreams are not predictions, they are reflections. They show you the shape of your mind and the weight of what you carry. Yet, sometimes, dreams break their own logic. They show places that never were, faces that don't belong to anyone, symbols that pulse with unexplainable meaning. Some neuroscientists believe these are the fingerprints of the default mode network, the part of your brain responsible for imagination, self-reflection, and identity. When this network blends with memory and emotion, it creates surreal composites, worlds you could never visit while awake, and yet they feel inevitable, perfectly familiar. Imagine, for a moment, that every dream is an echo of a different version of you. Each night, your mind drifts through possible realities, where choices shift, where forgotten hopes play out, where grief becomes reunion and loss becomes peace. Some spiritual traditions call this the astral plane, a space between worlds. But science offers its own poetry. The dreamscape is the mind exploring its infinite blueprints, the designs of every possible you, and still there's suspense. For even the most advanced researchers can't fully explain why we dream in such vivid detail, or why the same symbols appear across cultures and time. The endless staircase, the teeth falling out, the flight that begins as a fall. These shared dreams hint that beneath the individual mind there lies a collective design. Perhaps dreams are not isolated constructions, but connections, threads woven through human consciousness itself. Carl Jung once said, "Dreams are the guiding words of the soul," and perhaps science is beginning to agree. Recent studies show that dreaming enhances creativity, problem solving, and emotional balance. It's as though the brain, during sleep, enters a realm where it can think without boundaries, a realm where logic gives way to pure possibility. That's why artists, inventors, and scientists alike have drawn inspiration from dreams. The periodic table came to Mendeleev in a dream. Einstein's theory of relativity found its first spark in a dream of riding light, and countless melodies, inventions, and poems were born from the silent chaos of REM. Your dreams are not random static, they're a form of communication. Your subconscious speaks through metaphor, teaching, testing, or comforting you. Every creature you meet, every strange symbol you see, might be a fragment of yourself, your mind wearing masks to tell you something you already know. So, tonight, as you drift deeper, remember that your brain is already building worlds, vast landscapes of emotion and memory. You are both dreamer and dream, architect and observer. Each night you fall asleep, you return to your own creation, a private universe painted in electricity and silence. And when you wake, those worlds collapse, like waves folding back into the sea, but some part of them lingers, a shimmer at the edge of consciousness. Sometimes it's déjà vu, sometimes intuition, sometimes a whisper that guides you toward something unknown. The architecture of dreams is not built to last, but to teach. Each structure fades at dawn, but leaves behind a pattern, a lesson written in light. Dreams are the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. And so, as your breath slows and the rhythm of sleep deepens, imagine yourself walking through one of those dream cities. The air glows faintly blue, the streets curve where logic says they shouldn't. You recognize faces that aren't real, and yet you smile, because some part of you knows this is where you've been before, and where you'll go again. Each night, you are both the traveler and the world you travel through. And every dream is proof that within the quiet folds of sleep you are infinite. Have you ever felt it? That quiet hum beneath the silence of night, the subtle pulse that seems to echo through your entire body, as if something unseen is conducting you from within. You lie still, eyes closed, and yet there's movement everywhere, a heartbeat, a breath, a whisper of electricity dancing along your nerves. It's easy to think that sleep is an off switch, that everything simply shuts down, but in truth, the night awakens one of the most beautiful, intricate symphonies known to science, the communication between the mind and the body. When you sleep, you are not motionless, you are performing a choreography written in light and chemical rhythm. Every cell, every organ, every neuron plays its part in this nocturnal orchestra. Your brain is the conductor, waving invisible hands through the darkness, and your body responds, sometimes in whispers, sometimes in deep, resonant waves. Picture this. You are drifting deeper into the first stages of sleep. Your consciousness fades to a gentle hum, and as it does, your brain begins to send new kinds of signals down the spinal highways. Cortisol levels drop, heart rate slows. The parasympathetic nervous system, that quiet guardian of calm, takes control. It slows your pulse, softens your breath, and lowers your blood pressure. It tells the body, you're safe now. You can rest, and your body listens, like an orchestra following its maestro's cue. The vagus nerve, a shimmering golden thread that stretches from your brainstem through your heart and into your organs, begins its silent work. It carries the melody of peace, translating the mind's stillness into a full-body calm. You could say that every heartbeat, every breath, is your body's applause to the brain's gentle command. But then something strange happens. The deeper you fall asleep, the louder this inner symphony becomes, not in sound, but in coordination. Your organs begin to sync their rhythms, as if tuning themselves to a secret frequency. The liver slows its metabolism. The kidneys filter differently. Your gut begins a slow wave-like motion, digesting and cleansing, and deep in your muscles, microscopic repairs begin. Torn fibers from the day are woven back together. Cells copy DNA in the quiet light of chemical signals, and mitochondria hum with soft, life-giving energy. This is your body's hidden workshop, open only while you dream. And while this repair takes place, your brain and body remain in constant conversation through a language not of words, but of hormones, electricity, and rhythm. Your hypothalamus, that tiny, almond-sized regulator at the base of your brain, acts like a conductor, ensuring perfect tempo. It measures the balance of temperature, hydration, and rest, adjusting each note until the composition of sleep plays smoothly. You might think nothing is happening, but beneath that illusion of stillness, you are glowing. Literally, your neurons spark with faint bursts of energy, synchronized in slow waves that sweep across your cortex, like tides across a dark ocean. This is slow wave sleep, the most restorative phase. It's when the glymphatic system, your brain's hidden cleaning crew, awakens. Cerebrospinal fluid begins to pulse rhythmically, flushing out toxins, clearing the remnants of the day's thoughts. It's as if your mind breathes underwater, washing itself clean. Scientists used to believe the brain and body were separate during sleep, but now we know the opposite is true. Every breath, every slow heartbeat is part of an intricate feedback loop. Your heart sends signals to the brain, not just to mark its rhythm, but to influence emotion, dream content, and even memory. When your heartbeat slows, the amygdala quiets. Your fear responses soften, and the tone of your dreams changes from chaos to calm, from tension to serenity. And so, while you rest, your body becomes a living symphony of self-regulation. Each player, heart, lungs, liver, brain, knows its part without being told, because evolution has rehearsed this performance for millions of years. It's not random, it's design. The night is when your inner orchestra refines its harmony so that when morning comes, you wake not just refreshed, but recalibrated. Still, there's mystery here, a beautiful, suspenseful kind of magic. For though we can measure these processes, we can't fully explain how they coordinate so perfectly. What synchronizes the firing of billions of neurons with the beating of the heart and the rhythm of the breath? There's no central conductor we can point to, no visible baton, and yet everything plays in time. Some scientists suspect that your circadian rhythm, that 24-hour internal clock, acts as the score. The sheet music written deep in your DNA. It tells your cells when to rest, when to wake, when to repair, even when to dream. Every living creature on Earth has one, from the tiniest plankton to the human mind. And when you sleep, that rhythm hums softly through you. A pulse older than civilization, older than memory, older than thought. But here's the most haunting truth. Your brain doesn't simply direct the body, it listens to it. 2. Information flows both ways. Your gut sends emotional signals that shape your dreams. Your muscles release chemicals that alter your mood. Your heart communicates through electromagnetic fields, tiny pulses that change how your neurons fire. Your mind never truly rests, even when your body drifts toward sleep. It becomes an archivist, sorting through your day, preserving what matters, and erasing what doesn't. Each night, while you sleep, your brain becomes both a storyteller and a sculptor. It rewrites the script of your life, not on paper, but in the living fabric of your memory. But what is memory, really? Is it a library of facts, a film reel of the past, or something more fluid, a living echo that changes each time you recall it? Science once believed memories were fixed, like photographs stored in the mind, but now we know they are alive. Every time you remember, you reshape the memory. You add new emotion, new meaning. You're not retrieving the past, you're rebuilding it, piece by piece. Now imagine that process happening in the silence of night. As you drift deeper into sleep, your brain moves through its secret rhythms. First, the light waves of drowsiness, then the slow, rolling tides of deep sleep, and finally, the vivid storms of REM, where the dream world opens like a theater of light. In those hidden hours, neurons fire in delicate harmony, memories replay in flashes, and your mind whispers to itself, "This moment stays, this one fades." It's in this space, between forgetting and remembering, that your identity is woven. Every night, you lose parts of who you were and gain the pieces of who you're becoming. Sleep isn't just rest, it's rebirth. Each dream is a sculptor's hand, carving away what no longer serves you and polishing the edges of what does. Neuroscientists call this process memory consolidation. It's when your brain decides what to keep and what to let go. The hippocampus, that small, seahorse-shaped structure deep in your brain, acts like a librarian, filing your day's experiences into long-term storage. During sleep, it replays the events of the day in short, rapid bursts, as if it's testing them, asking, "Is this important? Does it define you?" If the answer is yes, the memory travels deeper, from fragile short-term space into the vast, resilient archives of your neocortex. If not, the memory quietly dissolves, lost to the gentle forgetting that keeps you sane. You don't need to remember every glance, every sound, every word. You only need the essence, the meaning, the pattern, the emotional truth. And that's what your mind keeps beneath the surface of your dreams. But here's the suspense. What if every memory you lose still exists somewhere? What if nothing truly disappears? What if every forgotten moment still vibrates faintly in the fabric of your mind, like a ghost light behind a curtain? Some researchers believe that memory is never truly erased, that it's merely hidden, folded into the unconscious layers of thought. Occasionally, a scent, a sound, a flicker of light can awaken it, And suddenly you remember something you haven't thought of in years. A childhood afternoon, a voice, a dream, as vivid as if no time had passed at all. That's the haunting beauty of memory. It's not a record. It's a living landscape. Your brain is an artist, painting and repainting your life story every night, and dreams, those surreal, shifting worlds, are part of the process. When you dream, the hippocampus speaks to the amygdala, the emotional center of your brain, and together they untangle feelings too complex for waking thought. They reshape fear into understanding, sadness into release, and sometimes they create impossible scenes to help your mind cope with impossible truths. That's why dreams often feel like riddles. They're not nonsense, they're metaphors written in the language of the soul. When you dream of falling, you might be letting go of control. When you dream of flying, you might be remembering freedom. And when you see faces of people long gone, it may be your heart replaying the warmth of their presence one more time before dawn. Memory doesn't just live in your brain, it lives in your body. Your muscles remember, your heartbeat remembers, your skin remembers the touch of comfort or fear. Neuroscientists call it somatic memory, and it explains why certain emotions can rise in you before you can name them. The past lives in your breath, and every inhale brings 1,000 invisible stories. Now imagine this: each night when you fall asleep, you enter a secret chamber of the mind where time and memory merge. Here, your brain replays entire days in seconds. It strengthens neural pathways, the connections between thoughts and feelings, like winding threads of light across the darkness. And as it does, your sense of self quietly updates. You wake up not the same person who fell asleep, but someone slightly changed, slightly wiser, slightly more at peace. That's the hidden gift of sleep. It renews not just your energy, but your identity. You are not static. You are a story, and sleep is the pen that keeps writing it. Your dreams are the ink, your memories the pages, and consciousness the reader, turning them one by one. There's also a quiet tragedy in this cycle. Because memory is fragile, it fades with time, like mist lifting from a field. And yet, even as details disappear, the emotions remain. Your brain keeps the feeling long after it forgets the scene. That's why nostalgia hurts. It's the echo of memory without the image, like hearing a melody after the song has ended. But perhaps that's not loss. Perhaps it's evolution. The mind learns to hold on to what matters most, not the moment itself, but the meaning. Every night you sleep, you are not just resting. You are rebalancing the truth of who you are. Your brain whispers, keep the lessons, keep the love, release the rest. And so you do, without even realizing it. You awaken, lighter, freer, carrying only the weight your spirit can bear. It's as if your mind, like a gardener, prunes the tangled vines of memory so that new growth can bloom. There's something profound in that, because it means forgetting is not failure, it's mercy. It's the universe's way of giving you space to grow again. And yet, in the deepest corners of sleep, in the hidden labyrinths of your brain, nothing is ever truly lost. Every heartbeat, every word, every night you've lived, still hums somewhere within you. So tonight, as your eyes grow heavy, and the border between waking and dreaming begins to blur, remember this: you are not just falling asleep, you are stepping into the workshop of your soul. Your memories will stir, your neurons will hum, and the story of your life will quietly rewrite itself. Dream gently. For in the language of sleep, every dream is a memory being healed, and every memory is a dream learning to stay. Have you ever woken from a dream that felt too real to fade? A place you'd never seen before, and yet somehow it felt like home. You can still remember the scent of rain, the hum of distant music, the warmth of light falling through impossible windows. And then, like mist, it was gone, leaving behind only the ache of having been somewhere that didn't exist. What builds these worlds? What hidden architect draws mountains and cities, faces and voices, all within the fragile space behind your closed eyes? Science has spent centuries chasing the answer, but dreams remain one of the last frontiers of human mystery. Every night, when consciousness fades, your brain becomes an artist, a playwright, and an entire universe. It constructs not just scenes, but sensations, not just stories, but realities. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine your mind as a theater. The lights dim, the audience, your waking thoughts, quietly exits, and behind the curtain, a different crew comes alive. Your visual cortex, the painter of the mind, begins to glow. Your limbic system, keeper of emotion, starts to hum with quiet electricity. And deep inside, the REM cycle, that strange, dream-breathing rhythm, rises and falls like ocean waves beneath your skull. This is when the world of dreams begins construction. Neurons firing in chaotic symphony, signals flashing between brain regions that rarely speak to each other while awake. The logical, grounded prefrontal cortex, your inner critic, finally falls silent, and with it, the boundaries of reason dissolve. Without it, imagination has no walls. Emotion becomes architecture. Memory becomes landscape, and fragments of your life scatter like stardust, waiting to be rearranged into meaning during REM sleep. The brain's activity mirrors wakefulness almost perfectly. Blood flow to the visual centers intensifies. The emotional amygdala becomes fiercely alive, and the neurotransmitters dopamine and acetylcholine light up your neural pathways. It's as if your brain is wide awake, but the body lies perfectly still, locked in gentle paralysis. So the dream can unfold without spilling into the physical world. This state, this haunting balance between stillness and chaos, is what allows your mind to become a god of its own creation. You conjure entire worlds from thin air, and your brain doesn't just imagine them, it feels them. Studies show that when you dream of running, the motor cortex responsible for movement activates. When you dream of music, the auditory cortex vibrates. When you taste, touch, or weep in dreams, those same regions light up. It's not fantasy, it's simulation. Your brain isn't pretending you're there. It believes you are. No wonder dreams feel real until you wake, because in that moment, they are. Each dream is a rehearsal, a safe simulation of emotion and possibility. Your brain uses dreams as experiments to test, to heal, to imagine, to prepare you for the chaos of waking life. It lets you face fears, rewrite endings, and explore worlds beyond logic's reach. That rhythm, your circadian rhythm, is your body's heartbeat of time. But as night deepens, that internal metronome begins to falter. Not because it's broken, but because, when you drift into REM sleep, your prefrontal cortex, the mind's timekeeper, grows silent, and the experience of time collapses. You no longer measure seconds or minutes. You feel them instead. In dreams, time becomes emotional. stretching when you're lost in wonder, snapping shut when fear arrives, and disappearing altogether when you surrender completely. Scientists have tried to measure this, hooking dreamers to EEG machines, timing eye movements, comparing dream length to real minutes, but the results only deepen the mystery. Dreams that feel hours long often occur in mere fragments of REM, sometimes less than 5 minutes. It's as if the brain, freed from the tyranny of the clock, compresses entire experiences into flashes, folding memories and sensations into single electric bursts. But why? Why does the sleeping brain rewrite the laws of time? Because time is not what we think it is. It isn't a river flowing one way. It's a fabric woven from perception. And perception changes the moment we close our eyes. When you're awake, the brain constantly tracks change, the motion of shadows, the rhythm of speech, the flicker of light. These cues tell you that time is moving. But when you sleep, those cues vanish, your sensory input shuts down, and the brain begins to generate its own clock, a dream clock, measured not in seconds, but in sensations. That's why dreams feel longer when they're filled with detail. Each emotional surge, each vivid image adds another layer to your sense of duration. When your dream is peaceful and slow, your perception of time stretches. When it's chaotic, time splinters. You may move through dozens of scenes, and yet wake to find that only moments have passed. In a way, your brain becomes a storyteller, and time, the story's pacing when the plot is rich. The story feels long when it's fleeting. The tale ends before you realize it began. But there's another force that lives inside your sleep, memory. And memory is the most unreliable timekeeper of all. While you rest, your hippocampus, that gentle librarian of your mind, starts working. It sorts through the day's experiences, deciding what to keep and what to let go. Some moments are marked as important, a conversation, a fear, a smile. Others are erased quietly, like chalk wiped from a board. During this process, the brain replays experiences, but not exactly as they were. It rearranges them, links them to older memories, and sometimes even edits the emotional tone. This rewriting blurs the boundaries between past and present. So when you dream of something that feels old, it might be a new event woven into an ancient memory. You are literally time traveling in your sleep. Consider this: the same electrical patterns that appear during memory recall also flash during dreaming. It's as if the brain is testing time, rehearsing different versions of reality. Your memories aren't static, they're clay, reshaped each night by the sculptor of sleep. And then there's something even stranger: temporal dislocation. In deep sleep, your sense of chronology, before and after, dissolves. You might dream of the future before it happens, or remember something that never did. Science calls it anticipatory imagination, but ancient cultures called it prophetic dreaming. Maybe both are true. For the dreaming mind doesn't predict the future. It explores every possibility of it, creating thousands of potential timelines in silence. Think of dreams as experiments. In time, your mind builds scenes, tests emotions, and asks, what would happen if? Each scenario lasts mere seconds, but carries the weight of years. The dream world is infinite because it exists outside time's limits. It's a simulation without a clock, where your consciousness rehearses existence itself. There's a quiet suspense in this, to realize that every night, as you drift into darkness, your mind unbinds itself from linear time. It stops obeying the sunrise and sunset, and instead becomes its own universe, a reality with no beginning and no end. When you awaken, the world of clocks and hours rushes back, but something lingers, a strange softness around your thoughts, a distortion in your sense of how long you slept. That's because part of you hasn't quite returned. The dream self that lived 1,000 moments in the space of one. That self lives beyond hours, beyond calendars, in a realm where time is emotion and memory intertwined. But let's dive even deeper into the physics of this illusion during REM sleep. Your brain's temporal lobes, responsible for sequencing and event order, go nearly silent. Meanwhile, your limbic system, the seat of emotion, fires wildly. That means your dreams are structured by feeling, not by logic. The sequence doesn't matter, the emotion is the timeline. So a single flash of joy might feel like a day, while fear might stretch an instant into eternity. And perhaps this is why people near death often describe their life flashing before their eyes. It isn't time rewinding, it's the brain collapsing memory and feeling into a single eternal moment. Dreams are practice for that miniature rehearsals of timelessness. There's also the mystery of false awakenings. Those moments when you dream that you've woken up, sit in bed, check the time, only to realize you're still asleep. In those layers, the mind folds reality onto itself like paper. Dream within dream, moment within moment, every layer creating the illusion of time passing. Though none of it truly does, the more aware you become, the more delicate the dream's architecture grows, until it dissolves completely, leaving only stillness. Stillness that is the true timekeeper. Because in the deepest stages of sleep, beyond REM, beyond dreams, the brain enters slow-wave synchronization, a hum so deep it feels like silence. It's here that consciousness rests, that every thought ceases to count, that your body and time itself pause together for those few sacred hours. You are free from past, future, and identity. You are simply present, and in that presence there is peace. So maybe the mind doesn't lose time when it dreams. Maybe it finds it, not as something to measure, but as something to feel. Each heartbeat, each breath, a reminder that the true rhythm of existence was never in the ticking of clocks, but in the rise and fall of your own being. And when you wake, you return to the measured world. But something inside you has changed. You've glimpsed eternity through the smallest crack, the space between one breath and the next, where the universe pauses to dream. Time, after all, is not something outside you. It is something you create, moment by moment, dream by dream, heartbeat by heartbeat. So, as you drift tonight, let the seconds blur, let the minutes lose their edge, and if you find yourself wandering through endless halls or ageless skies, know that you are simply visiting the realm of the timekeepers, the ancient rhythm makers who live in every pulse of your mind. And when morning comes, you'll wake not older, but renewed, because for a few hours you were outside of time, and that, perhaps, is the purest rest of all. Close your eyes and imagine that inside your mind lies a secret garden, a vast, silent place where thoughts drift like mist, where every dream is a seed and every memory a flower waiting for dawn. This is where your true self quietly grows, not in daylight, but in darkness, not in chaos, but in sleep when you dream. You don't just revisit memories, you replant them every night. The mind becomes a gardener, sorting, pruning, and nourishing the seeds of experience. Each feeling, each conversation, each fragment of your day is taken into this inner soil, broken down and reborn. It's a strange thought, isn't it? That while you rest, your brain is weaving your identity. That who you are tomorrow is quietly growing tonight. In the soft hum of neurons and the whisper of dreams. Let's begin deep within the hippocampus, the ancient librarian of your mind. By day, it gathers everything, sounds, faces, sensations, but it can't keep it all. Your mind would drown in its own history. So each night, as you descend into sleep, the hippocampus opens its vault and begins a sacred process, the gardening of memory. It replays moments of your day, not perfectly, but emotionally. It keeps what mattered and erases what didn't. It strengthens some roots and lets others die. This process is called memory consolidation. Because the language of light never stops speaking, we simply stop listening. And maybe, if you allow yourself to stand beneath the stars tonight, if you let your eyes rest in that ancient silence, you'll feel it, the pulse of the universe moving through you, slow, steady, and infinite. The moon will rise, the stars will shimmer, and somewhere within you, your inner rhythm will answer, not in words, but in sleep and in dreams. Have you ever woken from a dream so vivid, so impossibly real, that for a moment you weren't sure which world you belonged to? Maybe you stood in a city that doesn't exist, spoke with someone long gone, or watched yourself from far above, calm, weightless, free. How does the mind create these worlds? Why do they feel real? And what hidden architect builds them every night while your body lies still in darkness? Close your eyes now. Imagine yourself walking through the quiet corridors of your own mind. Each turn revealing a new scene, a shifting landscape made from your memories, emotions, and forgotten moments. You are both explorer and creator here. The dream doesn't happen to you. It happens through you. Dreams are not random illusions. They are your brain's private theater, built from fragments of thought and stitched together with emotion. Every night, when you drift into sleep, your consciousness dissolves, and what's left behind begins to sculpt reality from imagination. But this architecture, this intricate, shifting dream world, follows rules, subtle ones, beautiful ones, and some that even science still struggles to explain. Let's begin with the stage itself, the sleeping brain. As you fall into the first layers of sleep, your body grows heavy, your breathing slows, and your brain's activity softens into rhythmic waves. But deep within, neurons begin to light up like distant cities seen from orbit. The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logic and decision, grows quiet. Meanwhile, the amygdala, the emotional core, becomes brighter, more alive, and the hippocampus, the memory vault, starts opening its doors. That's where the magic begins. Dreams are born not from logic, but from emotion and memory intertwining in the dark. Think of it like this. Your brain is a sculptor, and its raw material is everything you've ever felt, seen, feared, or loved. It shapes these materials into something that feels alive, a landscape that reflects your inner world, Did you know that every element in your dream, every person, every sound, every corner of a place comes from something your mind has already stored? Even faces of strangers are made from fragments of real ones you've glimpsed in passing: a bus driver, a childhood neighbor, a figure once seen in a photograph. Dreams are mosaics built from forgotten details. As you drift deeper into REM sleep, rapid eye movement, the brain becomes paradoxical. Your body is paralyzed, yet your mind is racing faster than it does when you're awake. Waves of neural energy sweep through the cortex like tides, creating what scientists call activation synthesis. It's your brain trying to make sense of its own internal storm, interpreting random signals as stories. But perhaps it's not random at all. Perhaps it's a secret language. One the waking mind has forgotten how to read. Dreams often bend time, stretching seconds into hours, or looping endlessly through moments. That's because your internal sense of time, the same one ruled by your circadian rhythm, is suspended during REM. There is no clock here, only experience, only feeling. The laws of physics don't apply because the architect doesn't need them. In dreams, the brain doesn't simulate reality, it creates it. Now picture your dream as a living architecture. Each thought you have while asleep is like a gust of wind, shaping clouds into mountains, turning memory into texture, emotion into color. When you feel fear, the dream darkens, shadows lengthen, corridors twist. When you feel joy, light floods in, walls vanish. The dream expands into endless sky. Emotion is gravity here. It pulls the pieces together, determining what takes form and what fades. And within that emotional gravity, you play every role. You are the observer, the actor, and the set designer. Your brain creates dialogue it hasn't heard, faces it hasn't imagined consciously, and worlds it couldn't build while awake. Some dreams are gentle, others are wild, but all are woven from the same thread: the need for the mind to understand itself. Did you know that when you dream, your brain rehearses survival? In nightmares, you're testing fear, learning how to manage the unknown. In calmer dreams, you're solving problems you couldn't untangle while awake. Your mind continues working long after your body has surrendered to stillness. One study found that people who dreamed about puzzles or challenges often solved them faster upon waking. Dreaming is not rest, it's the mind's quiet workshop. And what of lucid dreams? Those rare moments when you realize you're dreaming, but the world around you remains solid, breathing, responsive. This is where the dream architect becomes aware of its own creation. And for a moment, you can alter reality with thought alone. Fly, breathe underwater, walk through stars, not fantasy, but a manifestation of how malleable consciousness becomes when freed from waking limits. Science shows lucid dreamers activate parts of the brain similar to those used in imagination and creative problem solving. It's like a rehearsal for potential futures, and sometimes for healing. There's another layer, the language of symbolism. Across cultures and centuries, humans have believed that dreams carry messages. Our subconscious doesn't speak in words. It speaks in imagery, in metaphor: a closed door, a rising tide, a broken mirror, each a symbol shaped by your own life's lexicon. Neuroscience may call dreams neuroelectric noise, but the psyche experiences them as stories of self-discovery. Archetypes that whisper truths our waking minds refused to face in ancient Egypt. Temples called serapeums were built where people would sleep, hoping to dream of the gods for guidance. The Greeks called this incubation sleep, a sacred practice of healing through dreams. And even now, modern psychology uses dream analysis to decode recurring imagery, revealing the mind's hidden architecture of meaning. So when you dream of falling, you might not be descending at all, but letting go. When you dream of flying, you may not be escaping, but expanding. Every symbol is both mystery and mirror. But here's the deeper wonder: while you dream, your brain doesn't only build worlds, it feels them. Your heartbeat changes when you run in a dream. Your muscles twitch when you climb. Your eyes move beneath your lids, as if tracking invisible stars. The body becomes the dream's instrument, playing along with its invisible symphony. And what about the dreams that linger, the ones that follow you into morning light? Half-faded, but impossible to forget. Scientists believe those are dreams that touched emotional memory, activating regions that store long-term impressions. They're like footprints in soft sand, the tide of waking life washing over them slowly. Maybe that's why dreams sometimes feel prophetic, as if they carry whispers from a deeper self. Because, in a way, they do. They're messages from the subconscious, from the layers of the mind that never sleep. They speak the truth softly, wrapped in symbol and story. And now, imagine this: each night, billions of people sleep, each dreaming their own universe. Billions of private realities being built simultaneously. Entire galaxies of imagination blooming in darkness. What if all dreams are fragments of one larger consciousness? The universe dreaming itself through us. The philosopher Carl Jung once wrote, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." Perhaps dreaming is both the mind turning inward and the cosmos looking back. As you breathe slowly now, imagine the next dream already forming. Threads of memory weaving into color, emotions settling into place. The architect prepares its tools: your imagination, your longing, your curiosity. You will walk again through rooms that don't exist, meet people who feel real, and live lives that last mere minutes but feel eternal. So tonight, when your head touches the pillow and your thoughts begin to soften, remember that you are not falling asleep. You are stepping into a world of your own creation. You are the architect, the dreamer, and the dream itself. Have you ever woken from a dream that seemed to last for days, only to find that mere minutes had passed? Or blinked at your alarm clock in disbelief, feeling as though you'd been lost in a place where time itself forgot to move? If you have, you've touched one of the strangest truths about being human, that when we sleep, we leave behind the clock and enter a realm where time no longer behaves. The body may rest, but the mind becomes a traveler through warped hours and bending memories. In dreams, you might live a lifetime in a heartbeat, or revisit a childhood moment that never truly happened. But what is this power that sleep holds over time? And why does your brain, in its deepest rest, seem to twist the laws of physics into whispers of something eternal? Tonight, we're stepping through the folds of that mystery, into the secret chambers of your mind's clockwork, to meet the keepers of your inner time. Picture this: a tiny pulse, ticking deep inside your brain, not mechanical, not visible, but biological. It's called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. the same ancient cluster we met when light told your body when to wake and when to dream. It sits right behind your eyes, listening to light and darkness, translating them into rhythm. Even your bones, often thought to be silent, release hormones during sleep that influence brain repair and immune balance. You are not a mind in a body. You are a mind and body network, a living duet, and every night, as consciousness drifts away, that duet becomes a full symphony, a silent masterpiece composed in real time by trillions of living instruments. Now imagine for a moment, if you could hear it, what would it sound like? Perhaps a heartbeat as bass drum, breath as wind instrument, the neurons' electric sparks as shimmering strings, and beneath it all, a faint, endless vibration, the sound of life maintaining itself. A rhythm so ancient it began before language, before thought, perhaps even before the first dreams. And then, in the stillness between breaths, comes the conductor's pause, a micro moment where every system aligns, and you, without knowing, enter perfect balance. It's fleeting, but it's the essence of true rest, a moment where body and brain become one organism, singing the same note of existence. Even when you wake, that music doesn't end. It continues, quietly, beneath your daily rush of thoughts and movement. The night symphony simply shifts into a daytime rhythm, and your waking mind becomes the new conductor, carrying forward the harmony shaped in sleep. That's why a good night's rest can change the way you think, feel, and even see the world in the stillness of your sleep. Your cells remembered how to sing together again, and when you rise, you bring that music with you. You move through the day not as a collection of parts, but as a single living melody. So tonight, as you prepare to rest again, know that the symphony awaits. Your conductor already lifting the baton. Your neurons ready to glow in rhythm. Your organs waiting to respond. You are both performer and audience, listener and song, and even in the deepest quiet, you are never silent. You are music, the music of life itself, playing softly in the endless concert of the night. There is a language older than words, older than music, older even than thought itself, the language of light. Before humans spoke, before cities glowed, or fire was tamed, the night sky was our only teacher, and its quiet lessons still echo inside you, hidden in your biology, woven into the way you breathe and dream. Tonight, as the moon rises slow and pale, its light gliding across rooftops and trees, you might think it's just shining, but it's also speaking. In wavelengths and rhythms your body still remembers. You see, light doesn't just let you see, it tells your brain what time it is, what hormones to release, and when to dream. It shapes your heartbeat, your body temperature, and even the architecture of your sleep. The human brain is a creature of rhythm, and the sun, moon, and stars have always been its metronome. At the center of this ancient system lies a tiny cluster of cells deep in your brain, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SEN. It's your internal clock, the conductor of your circadian rhythm, and it listens endlessly to the language of light. When sunlight touches your eyes in the morning, even through closed lids, photoreceptors send messages to the SEN. It's dawn. Time to wake the body. Cortisol rises, your body warms, and your consciousness stirs from its nocturnal garden. But when the sun falls, the tone of that language changes. The wavelengths stretch, blue light fades, and your pineal gland begins to whisper melatonin into your bloodstream. That's the signal. The night has begun. But what happens when the night speaks in half-light? When the moon is full, its silver glow can shift your sleep. Not much, but enough. Studies show that even in complete silence, people sleep 20 minutes less during the full moon. They fall asleep slower, their REM cycles shorten, and their dreams often grow more vivid, as if the mind is trying to interpret a new verse of that ancient cosmic language. You may have felt it, that subtle restlessness, a quiet alertness when the moon is bright. Your ancestors certainly did. They lived by it. Hunting, planting, and rituals of birth. It was a clock in the sky long before we made clocks of our own. And though city lights have drowned the stars, your biology still listens for the moon's tone, still reacts to that ghostly shimmer, as if something deep within you remembers a time when the moon was your only lamp. But the story doesn't end with light. It continues with darkness. For darkness isn't the absence of something. It's a presence of its own. In darkness, your body begins to heal. Your mind resets its rhythm. And your cells speak in secret chemical conversations. Darkness is not nothing. It's a signal, one that tells the mind to retreat inward, to open the door to dreams. Yet, in the modern world, true darkness has become rare. Our cities glow with artificial dawn. Screens flash into our eyes even at midnight, and the body's ancient language system struggles to understand this constant light. Melatonin release is delayed, sleep cycles break, and the once clear dialogue between night and body becomes static. And so, we find ourselves both connected and lost, living in light, yet hungry for darkness, wired into the grid, yet craving the rhythm of the stars. Imagine standing beneath a clear night sky, far from cities, where the stars burn bright enough to cast faint shadows. In that moment, your body recognizes something, not consciously, but instinctively. Your pulse slows, your breath deepens, and your mind grows quieter. You are syncing again with the sky, aligning to a clock so vast it makes time itself seem small. Every star you see sends photons that have traveled millions of years. Light that began before humans existed, and yet your body responds to it in real time. Your eyes translate it. Your brain reads it. Your hormones shift by its presence. That's the silent dialogue of existence. The universe and your biology in constant, wordless conversation. Now, let's dive deeper into the way light choreographs your inner world. When night falls, melatonin levels rise. But so does something more mysterious. Interoceptive awareness. Your body's internal listening. In darkness, your senses turn inward. You become aware of heartbeat, of breath, of subtle sensations usually drowned out by daylight noise. Your mind, no longer distracted by vision, begins to dream awake. That's why nighttime thoughts feel deeper, more poetic, and sometimes more frightening, because the body and mind are speaking directly, without the interruption of light. And then there's the moon's color. Its light isn't just bright. It's cool, rich in silver wavelengths, and these affect the brain differently than sunlight. They stimulate regions tied to creativity and intuition. That's why artists, poets, and wanderers have always felt something strange beneath a full moon. Not superstition, but biology. The moonlight stirring their imagination. Even animals follow this rhythm. Crickets change their song, birds alter their flight, and ocean creatures rise and fall with lunar gravity. Human sleep is part of that same dance, an ancient choreography shared by everything that lives. But here's where the mystery deepens, because light and darkness don't only affect sleep, they affect dreams. Dream researchers have found that people sleeping in total darkness report more vivid and emotionally rich dreams, while those sleeping under dim light tend to dream in fragments, shadows of thought, instead of full stories. It's as if too much light keeps the mind awake, half listening to the world, unable to dive completely into its own imagination. And yet, not all light disturbs. There's a kind of balance, the faint glow of stars, the warmth of candlelight, the silver hush of moonshine. These whisper softly enough for the brain to stay in its natural rhythm, reminding it that night has not vanished completely, but is alive and breathing. Perhaps that's why ancient temples were built to align with moonrise, and why meditation caves were carved to let in only a sliver of starlight. Those who lived before artificial light knew this secret intuitively, that sleep and spirituality share the same frequency of darkness. In sleep, when light fades completely, the pineal gland releases not just melatonin, but trace amounts of something even more mysterious, dim-felt tryptamine, or DMT, a compound linked to dreams, visionary states, and near-death experiences. Though science still debates its exact function, many believe it's part of the body's natural dream code, the chemical translation of the cosmic conversation between light and darkness. And so, each night, as the stars burn and the moon turns, your body performs an ancient ritual. It listens, translates, and responds. You become a participant in a universal pattern, cells responding to photons, neurons adjusting to lunar glow, dreams rising and falling with the pulse of starlight. You are not separate from the night. You are part of it, every flicker of moonlight, every shadow that crosses your wall is part of the script that writes your rest. You are both the reader and the story itself. And when you wake, bathed in the gold of morning light, that dialogue continues. Melatonin fades, cortisol rises. Your brain reorients itself to the sun's vocabulary. But even then, the moon's message lingers, quiet and silver, waiting for the next dusk to whisper again. But in truth, it's soul sculpting. Dreams are where this pruning becomes art. Your mind takes real fragments, a scent, a voice, a fear, and reshapes them into surreal mosaics. It tests them, merges them, asks quietly, does this belong to who I am becoming? Sometimes it decides no, and the memory fades. Other times, it plants that fragment deep, letting it blossom years later in a decision, a passion, or a sudden déjà vu. But here's the secret most never realize. Dreams don't just keep memories, they create new ones. Your brain can't always tell the difference between something vividly imagined and something truly lived when you dream. You generate experiences so detailed, so emotional, that your memory circuits record them as if they really happened. This is why a dream can haunt you, why it can change your feelings toward someone, why you can wake up in love or afraid of something that never existed. Scientists have scanned brains during REM sleep and found activity in the same areas that light up when we form new memories while awake. that means your dream self is just as real to your brain as your waking self. Every night, you become both the storyteller and the story, the gardener and the soil, and it's not random. Your subconscious chooses its subjects with purpose. It pulls from emotion more than fact. If something made you feel deeply, even for a heartbeat, your brain will plant it. Because emotion is the water that makes memory grow. There's a darker side to this garden, too. Sometimes the soil becomes tangled. When trauma or fear enters the mind, the gardener struggles. It tries to bury the pain, to lock it beneath layers of dreams. But even buried seeds can grow. And nightmares are often those unwanted plants, memories resurfacing in twisted forms. The brain relives the fear not to torment you, but to heal you, to face it, reframe it, and release it. This is why lucid dreams can be so powerful. When you become aware within your dream, you can tend your garden consciously. You can face the dark corners, pull the weeds, and plant new intentions in that space. You're not just a dreamer, you're a creator. Every thought you nurture, there ripples outward into your waking world. Because your brain doesn't forget what it learns in dreams. But what if I told you that even your earliest memories were once dreams? Infants, for example, spend nearly 80% of their sleep in REM. Their tiny minds are building the architecture of self through pure imagination. They dream before they even understand time. And from that dreamscape emerges identity, your first sensations, warmth, rhythm, heartbeat were the blueprints for your sense of safety. Your brain recorded them not as facts, but as feelings. And those feelings still shape how you trust, love, and rest. So the garden of the self did not begin yesterday. It began in your cradle and has bloomed with every night since. Memory, though, is fragile. Each night the gardener must decide what to preserve, what to let decay, and here lies the mystery of forgetting. We often fear it, but forgetting is not failure. It's space-making, just as a forest sheds its leaves to let sunlight reach the ground. Your mind releases the past to make room for new growth. When you forget a moment, it doesn't vanish. It simply sinks back into the soil, becoming part of the nutrients for what comes next. Dreams are the compost of the soul, turning chaos into order and loss into wisdom. Every heartbreak, every fear, every forgotten smile, they all return here, quietly nourishing the roots of who you are becoming. There's something timeless about it, because even when you sleep for only a few hours, your mind travels far, rewriting entire landscapes of identity. And when you wake, you might not remember the dream, but you feel it. You carry its scent, like rain in the air before dawn. That gentle shift, a new calm, a quiet insight, a subtle courage, those are the flowers your dream planted. And though you cannot see them grow, they bloom quietly through your choices, through your words, through the way you see the world. But here's where it gets even stranger. Dreams don't only work with your memories. They often blend them with others, faces you've forgotten, voices you've heard once in a crowd, stories told to you as a child every night. Your brain gathers fragments from every corner of your life and mixes them in ways that defy logic but reveal truth. It's as if consciousness is a forest where roots intertwine, and in dreams, those roots whisper to one another. You might be dreaming someone else's pain or reliving an ancestor's fear. or reshaping collective patterns passed down through generations. Many indigenous cultures believed that dreams were shared spaces, a garden not of one, but of many, a web of minds tending the earth of thought together. And perhaps science is just beginning to rediscover that, because studies now show that emotional memories can echo across DNA, passed from one life to another, and dreams might be how those echoes find expression. Now imagine this: you're standing in that dream garden, the moonlight soft on the leaves of memory. You see paths made of your choices, some leading to familiar faces, others to forgotten futures in the distance. Something glows, a moment you haven't lived yet, a version of you still becoming. You reach for it, and your fingertips brush the unknown. That's your subconscious, always reaching ahead, planting not just what was, but what could be. Dreams are the mind rehearsing tomorrow, sowing seeds of possibility in the soil of now. So when you wake up with a sudden idea, a name in your mind, a feeling you can't explain, that's the garden whispering. That's the self evolving. And maybe that's the greatest secret of all. Dreams aren't random, they're blueprints. They're your nightly dialogue with the universe inside you. They're how you remember what it means to be alive, how you heal, how you grow. So tonight, when your eyes grow heavy and the world fades into twilight, remember this: you're not falling asleep. You're returning home to the garden that waits within you, where every breath is soil, every thought a seed, and every dream a gentle hand tending your soul. Because every morning you awaken as someone slightly new, someone your dreams have been quietly shaping, patiently, lovingly, through the mystery of sleep. And somewhere deep within, the garden continues to bloom, beyond memory, beyond time, forever growing in the light of your inner night.